Emily, a 14-year-old girl, lives in a large, old house with her parents and younger brothers. Her family busy and are career-driven. The house is described as grand but silent, with echoes of laughter and life from years gone by. Emily spends a lot of time exploring its creaky corridors and dusty attics. Her footsteps the only sounds in the hushed space. Emily sat by the window in her room, watching the rain streak down the glass like tears. The world outside was alive with the sound of raindrops hitting the pavement. But inside her house, there was only silence. The silence had become a constant companion, enveloping Emily in its comforting yet stifling embrace. Her family lived in a grand, old house on the outskirts of town. It was the kind of house that seemed to have been plucked from the pages of a storybook, with its towering gables and ivy-covered walls. To an outsider, it might have seemed a place full of life and history. But to Emily, it was just another character in the story of her isolation. Her parents, Richard and Margaret, were both successful professionals who spent more time at work than at home. They had built their lives around their careers, leaving little room for anything else. Emily's brothers, Tom and Jack, were younger and more outgoing, with social calendars packed with sports and friends. Emily, on the other hand, preferred the company of her books and sketch pads. She was introverted and shy, often feeling like a ghost within her own family. She longed for connection, but the demands of everyday life seemed to pull her family further apart. The house itself was a labyrinth of rooms and corridors, each one holding echoes of a past Emily could only imagine. She spent hours exploring, running her fingers over dusty bookshelves and peering into forgotten corners. The attic was her favorite place, a treasure trove of old furniture, trunks, and boxes filled with remnants of bygone eras. One rainy afternoon, as the wind howled outside, the air was thick with dust and the scent of old wood. As she rummaged through a stack of boxes, she found a leather-bound diary. Its cover was worn, and the pages yellowed with age. Curious, Emily opened it to the first page. The handwriting was elegant, belonging to a girl named Clara who had lived in the house over a century ago. August 12, 1898, Clara had written. Clara's entry spoke of loneliness and longing, mirroring Emily's own feelings in a way that was both comforting and eerie. I feel like a specter in this house, unseen and unheard. The walls whisper to me when I am alone, and I wonder if they remember the laughter they once held. Emily felt a shiver run down her spine. The words resonated with her, as if Clara were reaching across time to offer her companionship. As the days passed, Emily found herself drawn deeper into Clara's world. Clara had been an artist, too, filling the margins of her diary with sketches of the house and its grounds. It wasn't long before Emily began to notice strange occurrences. At first, it was just a sense that she was not alone, even when the house was empty. Then came the whispers, soft and indistinct, like a conversation happening just out of earshot. One evening, as Emily sat in her room sketching, she heard a creak behind her. She turned, expecting to see one of her brothers, but there was no one there. A gentle murmur that only she could hear. Emily was frightened. She stood and approached the door, peering into the shadowy corridor. The door, which she was sure she had closed, was ajar. "Hello?" she called, her voice echoing down the hallway. She closed the door firmly and returned to her desk, her mind racing. The whispers grew more frequent after that night. They seemed to follow her through the house. She turned to Clara's diary for answers, hoping to find a clue that would explain the mysterious occurrences. As she read, she felt Clara's presence more strongly. The whispers continued, always just out of reach, like fragments of a forgotten song. Emily began to notice other strange occurrences around the house, objects shifting slightly from where she'd left them, mirrors reflecting glimpses of movement where there should be none. One morning, as Emily stood brushing her hair in front of her bedroom mirror, she caught a flash of something in her reflection, a shadow darting behind her. Clara wrote about the mirrors, They say the glass remembers the faces it has seen, the lives it has witnessed. Sometimes, I think the mirrors are watching me. Her heart skipped a beat, and she spun around, but the room was empty. The mirror's surface seemed to ripple for a moment, as though it were a pond disturbed by a stone. Determined to find answers, Emily returned to Clara's diary. In one entry, dated September 15, 1898, reflecting not just what is, but what was, Emily pondered these words, sensing that the mirrors in the house were somehow connected to the whispers. The idea was both unsettling and intriguing, suggesting a link between her world and Clara's that defied the barriers of time. With each passing day, Emily felt an increasing urgency to uncover the house's secrets. The whispers grew louder, as if urging her toward a hidden truth. Guided by Clara's diary and a newfound sense of determination, she set out to explore every corner of the old house. In the attic, amidst the dust and shadows, Emily discovered a small, locked door she had never noticed before. It was half hidden behind a stack of old trunks, its wooden surface marked with carvings that had faded with age. Her heart racing, Emily knelt before the door, tracing the carvings with her fingertips. She could almost hear Clara's voice, a whisper of encouragement echoing in her mind. Desperate to open the door, Emily scoured the attic for a key. She searched through drawers and boxes, finally uncovering an ornate brass key tucked inside a faded velvet pouch. With trembling hands, Emily inserted the key into the lock. It turned with a satisfying click, and the door swung open to reveal a narrow staircase leading downward. The air was cooler as Emily descended the staircase, her heart pounding with anticipation. At the bottom, she found herself in a small, dimly lit room. The walls lined with shelves cluttered with books, sketches, and mementos from another time. The room felt alive, as if it had been waiting for her. It was a sanctuary, a place where Clara had spent countless hours, pouring her heart into her art and writing. Emily moved slowly around the room, absorbing every detail. On a wooden table, she found a collection of sketches depicting the house and its surroundings. The drawings were exquisite, capturing the beauty and mystery of the old estate with remarkable clarity. Among the sketches, Emily found letters written by Clara, addressed to someone named Thomas. The letters spoke of friendship and shared dreams, of moments stolen from the march of time. Drawing and writing, feeling Clara's presence more strongly with each passing day, means of connection and expression. Inspired by Clara, Emily began to open up in her waking life. She shared her drawings with her family, surprising them with the depth of her talent and insight. Her parents, often preoccupied with their work, started to notice the changes in their daughter, realizing how much they had overlooked. As she read Clara's words, Emily felt a surge of empathy and understanding. The hidden room was a testament to Clara's resilience, her ability to find beauty and connection despite her isolation. She encouraged Emily to embrace her yearning for a world that understood her. They walked together through the house and gardens, sharing stories and secrets that transcended the boundaries of time. As Emily continued to spend time in the hidden room, her dreams of Clara became more vivid and detailed. The dreams no longer felt like mere fragments of imagination, but rather like real interactions with a friend from another time. In these dreams, Clara guided Emily through the history of the house, revealing its secrets and the lives it had sheltered over the years. Clara spoke of a particular friendship she had with a boy named Thomas. Their bond was a rare light in her life, a connection that brought her joy amidst the solitude. Thomas, too, was an artist, and together they had dreamed of a future where their art could bridge the gap between their worlds. Emily felt a profound connection to Clara and Thomas, as if she were part of their unfinished story. Their friendship, undeterred by the constraints of time, inspired her to reach out more to those around her, to seek connections that had previously seemed unattainable. Driven by her dreams and Clara's diary, Emily decided to learn more about Clara's life and her mysterious disappearance. She visited the town library, poring over old newspapers and historical records, searching for any mention of Clara or Thomas. To her surprise, Emily discovered an article from October 1898, detailing the tragic events that had led to Clara's disappearance. The article mentioned a fire that had engulfed part of the estate, a disaster that had taken Clara's life. Or so it was believed. Thomas, the boy who had been her confidant and friend, had left town shortly afterward. Heartbroken by the loss, Emily's heart ached as she read the words, feeling the weight of Clara's story and the tragedy that had befallen her, that there was more to uncover. As Emily delved deeper into the past, she uncovered an unexpected connection between Clara's family and her own. It turned out that Clara had been a distant relative, her family having owned the house long before Emily's parents purchased it. The revelation was a shock, but it also made sense. Emily felt as though she had been drawn to Clara not just by the house's whispers, but by a deeper familial bond that spanned generations. Determined to learn more, Emily approached her parents, sharing her findings and the experiences she'd been having. At first, they were skeptical, dismissing her stories as fanciful imaginings. But Emily's earnestness and the evidence. Her parents, particularly her mother, Margaret, began to recall family stories and lore they had heard in their own childhoods. They realized that the house had indeed been part of their heritage, a connection that had been forgotten over time. With her parents' support, Emily continued her research, piecing together the events that had led to Clara's disappearance. She discovered that the fire had been a tragic accident, a result of an oil lamp tipping over during a storm. Clara had been trapped inside the house, unable to escape the flames. Yet, Emily sensed there was more to the story. She returned to the hidden room, searching for anything that might provide a clue. Among the letters and sketches, she found a journal entry Clara had written just days before the fire. In it, Clara had expressed a sense of foreboding, a fear that something terrible was going to happen. She had mentioned hearing the whispers more frequently, as if the house itself were trying to warn her. Emily felt a chill run down her spine. The house, with its echoes of the past, had been trying to communicate, to prevent the tragedy that had unfolded. The truth about Clara's fate and her family's connection to the house brought Emily and her parents closer. They began to see the house not just as a building, but as a living part of their history, a place that held memories and stories waiting to be told. Emily's brothers, too, began to notice the change in her. They saw her confidence grow as she shared her art and stories, and they started to include her more in their activities. Realizing how much they had missed by not paying attention, Emily's parents, moved by her determination and the depth of her discoveries, decided to preserve Clara's memory by restoring parts of the house. Emily and her family in the present. Space for Emily's artwork. They wanted the house to be a place of connection and creativity.